Well, what's the one like from everything you've seen from your agents uh, that have used the system and stuff? What would the number one piece of advice that you would give an agency owner going into this new future with all this data driven
Um,
stuff?
take good notes. Yeah, one of the agency owners that I've been talking to says, we get these emails from the large carriers saying, okay, this month, every policy you sell in July will pay you 12% instead of 10. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Then they say the checks come in for 10%, but we haven't got any place where we can say, but wait a minute,
Right.
this was supposed to be 12, so, and apparently, and this is something that, may be different in every agency, but apparently the agents are not always really good at filling out all the information and, when they're selling the product as well. So, partly because there's never been a reason to be. It doesn't matter what I write, I'm still going to get paid what the carrier wants to pay me. But, that's, I think, you know, I had one carrier incentive person say, these people work for 100% commission. They're not like you and me. Well, you guys are like that because that's the world you're in. But, normal people like, salaries and some idea of what's coming. And, but anybody who's willing to work for 100% commission is probably going to cut corners on certain things and just do what's easy and do what brings in the most money and all that kind of stuff. And filling out all these fields in your agency management system, who wants to do that? So
No one,
on the
not
other hand,
No
especially
the
not
one.
agents,
salespeople.
No,
yeah.
they do
And I've
not
been a
want to.
salesperson and I'm really bad at it. But that's one of the things that, if your life depends on getting this commission accurate, then you should do the things you need to do to make sure that
Yeah.
that commission is accurate. But I think a lot of people have just said, I'll type in the minimum amount I need and then go off and sell to the next guy. And so that's one reason why this agency owner I'm working with has no idea how much he's supposed to be getting because people aren't even filling out the AMS properly, let alone,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
um,
Got to have
Talk
the
about
right
your book
person.
real quick.
oh yeah, my book. Yes, it is. It's the book on incentive compensation management, and I called it that so I could walk into a meeting and say, I wrote the book on incentive compensation management. That was entirely intentional.
I
It's
love it.
basically about any kind of system. How do you think about systems when you're implementing them? And it has to do with commissions and bonuses, but that's not really what it's about. It's really about how do you, well, okay, one of my soapbox issues, and I can give you, half an hour, 40 minutes just on this, but how do you treat a downstream system versus an upstream system? So an upstream system would be your policy management. Your downstream system would probably be, your CRM or book of business or incentive comp. Well, upstream systems have all the data, they own all the processes, and anything they say is true. And then they pass that to the downstream system that has to interpret it and do things. And it's only true until somebody realizes, oh, I typed in your height is 5 feet 8 or 8 feet 5 instead of 5 feet 8, and so we need to change that piece of data. And now all of a sudden it has ripple effects that go through. I live in the ripple effect world. If you look at if you data is easy to get the answer right the first time you see it. It's really hard the eighth time you see it. But that's where the challenge is in the systems I work on. So it's really how do you think about what a system has to do. Don't base it on what the business looks like. Think about what are the when this bad thing happens, what do we do next? And that's kind of my approach to building systems and